and ramps for veterans. They have a nonprofit organization that for any veteran or a surviving spouse of a veteran, if they have leaks in roofs, if they need wheelchair ramps, and really many other things, they find a way to get those things for the needy veteran and family at no charge, typically, to the veteran. So if you have any veterans in your family and you know of any needs, not that they need more work because they're already to the maximum, but see me or see Ken or Pam and we will get you connected up. But like I said, they started planning for themselves, they moved on to veterans, and then they said, well, we're doing all this work. Why shouldn't we share it with the church and with many other people as is possible? They shared it in their homeowners association out in Aldea. They have 2 or 3 more of these evenings planned. And when you hear what they have to say, I believe you're going to be motivated to go out and do some prudent preparation for yourselves, even though we always look to the Lord to be our resource and our protector. J. Vernon McGee says something really interesting. When a farmer is praying for a good crop, God expects him to say, Amen, with a hoe in his hand. So we have our part, he has his part, and they're here tonight to help us do our part. So I'm going to ask an opening blessing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ken and to Pam. Let's pray. Father, we thank you tonight, Lord, that you are the provider. You're the creator. You possess all the resources that any of us need for life and for godliness. And we look to you, Lord, for wisdom. You share through your people. You share wisdom and knowledge and understanding and give us opportunity to grow as we look at the world, the challenges of the world, and we look to you, Jesus, to help us overcome the world. So tonight, as we hear from 2 of your people, Lord, we pray that you would bless them with the grace, with the knowledge, and with the joy in their heart to share what you've already taught them so that they can pass it on to us. It's for your glory and it's for our good that we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. And they're going to open it up for questions after they make presentation. We are broadcasting this and we're also recording it so that if you don't get something written down that you really wanted to, you can go back, you can watch the presentation either on Facebook or on YouTube once it's posted. You can also share the links with your family and friends and neighbors who are not here so that they can benefit from this as well. And because we're broadcasting, if you have a question, I'll have you raise your hand, but wait until I get there with the microphone so that the people who are viewing the video can hear your question, not just the response. Is that clear? Okay, take it away, Ken.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Dettelbach. You see me in the back row on Sundays. It's a little phobia I have. I don't like anybody behind me. So I would like you all to turn to the Gospel of... No, I'm kidding you. Well, thank you for coming. This is my wife, Pam Scotty, and together we're going to go through what could be a 3-week seminar in an hour and a half, but we have a way that we can get all the information to you that you need. Let me give you a little bit of history here. We both come from Cleveland, Ohio. It's a long way from here. And I have served 2 tours in Vietnam in a combat role as a company commander. And my life today is devoted to veterans. There was a lot in between there. We have a large group of kids and grandkids and great-grandkid. Now you know how old I am. So we started off talking about this a long time ago. 10 years ago, Pam and I had businesses, and we sold our businesses. We looked at each other and we said, let's give back because I came back. And so we formed a nonprofit called R&R for Vets. R&R for Vets, if you go on the website, you'll see the projects we do. We've done some stuff for people that are in this group here, okay? And we have a number of projects going at one time. Habitat is our partner, Lowe's is our partner, Chick-fil-A is our partner, Las Campanas Foundation is our partner. We got a lot of partners, okay? Probably about 59 partners that we can identify. But you'll see that on the website as well. And it's just Pam and I that run it. And we just run it for basically northern and central, northern and central New Mexico. And we looked at each other 10 years ago and said, let's form this nonprofit, R&R for Vets. R&R for Vets not only provides roofs, ramps, and repairs for handicapped bathrooms. We do all kinds of stuff, including last year, pro bono, we had 6 classes in Santa Fe school system educating the Vietnam War. So we give it back to the kids, and we want the kids to know a lot about the military as well. A year and a half ago, we decided that based upon what we knew, that we would start thinking about preparing for ourselves for a disaster that might come. And we had a long talk about it. It wasn't easy to put together because we weren't knowledgeable at that particular point. But we have put together what I think is the most we both think. When I say I mean we. Okay. We have put together what I think will be a comprehensive accumulation of information. There's a lot of things on the internet that are hard to assimilate or are not correct. And we've gone through that with generators and all the other kind of stuff like that. So you can use our intelligence as much as you want or not. So tonight we're going to have a cursory overview. Here's how the game is played. All right? We're going to drive you to the R&R website where we have taken education and resources, a button at the top, okay? You press on that button and down comes all these little things. And you can press on them, all right, and get educated. You can be taken to videos. You can be taken to websites. You can be taken to our commentary. We would have this completed probably between the middle of December and the end of December of this year, because there's a lot of content here. And so you need to get on it now, though, and we've got some awful good stuff on it for you to get started. And the information we'll give you tonight will get you started. I look out there, and there might be 3 levels of people. There'll be people that say, we're not going to have our grid down, or we're not going to have a Roswell or a Ruidoso or whatever. We're not going to worry about it. There's going to be those that say, well, it makes a little bit of sense, but it's a lot of work, and I'm not going to put the work into it. And then there's going to be those that say, okay, I buy it. I'm going to get started, and you've got Pam and I as partners to help you along the way, because we're going to give you an avenue of questions, the ability to have questions. And so has everybody signed up their email address? Okay. For those of you who are watching, you can email us on our website, RR for Vets. That's rrforvets.org. Or email us at info@rrforvets.org, and we'll respond to you and give you the handouts that we have here tonight. Does everybody have a handout? Okay. I'm going to talk about some things. My wife here is a culinary, I call her, I got the best restaurant in town at home. And so she's going to talk about the food and sanitation. And she's done an awful lot of work on that. And I'm going to talk about a number of other things. So if you're signed up, you're going to get notice every time we put content in, so you can look at new content. There's technology advances. I'm going to show you one technology advance tonight that we have just received. We're going to explain now what is the electric grid. The electric grid is composed of basically three components. One component is a 200-ton generator, okay, that takes 2 years to get if you lose one. And those generators are as high as a 5-story building. And they go in particular places. There's 3 grids in the United States, east, middle, and west. They're all independent, by the way. They're not connected. So those generators are connected to little areas that we have substations, okay, you call them substations. There's approximately 50,000 substations in the United States, and those substations are connected with transmission lines, which basically takes the electricity and makes it in such a form that you can use it in 110 or 220 or whatever in your house. All right, that's the grid. There are 3,000 companies, okay, that are involved in the grid. 3,000 different companies, and no one in Washington has taken responsibility for the grid. No organization, no individual. Well, let me explain that a little bit. 15 years ago, there was a commission formed, and we have a video, a connection to a video on our website. You need to see that video. Dennis Quay is the guy who put the video together. You know Dennis Quay. And your Senator Johnson and all these other people are on the video, and they talk about how important it is for us to protect our grid and so forth. So Obama passed a law protecting the grid in some manner or form, and Trump then went ahead and enforced it with some money, and not a nickel has been spent. Okay? So Washington is not going to do anything for us as far as the grid. Part of the reason is the electric companies have tremendous lobbies in Washington, and so they're independent. There is no organization that is not supported by them financially that oversees your electric companies. Does that make sense? Okay. So in that regard, it's up to us. So we looked at this a year and a half ago, and I said, you know, I said, we have to protect the veterans, and we have to protect our family, so we need to know more about this. Well, we got into it with both feet, and what we've come up with is a huge amount of information. We've synthesized it and put it on our website. So you'll use our website, okay, as a force, and you'll also be able to email us directly. We'll develop an FAQ page, okay, and you'll be able to, if you have a question, Pam and I will answer it. And we've gone through multiple companies for generators. We've gone through multiple companies in terms of how we want to preserve our food, and so we think we've got something going here. Let me give you a couple examples for for those people that might be skeptical, okay? Um, there are multiple ways the grid can go down. It can go down by weather, as it has in a number of different areas, okay? Hurricanes or otherwise. If you saw the lead article on the New Mexican, I bought a copy of it on the way. P&M says that there's a substantial increase in the amount of outages that has been happening across the country and here in Santa Fe. And so that's definitely happening. In addition to that, before we go through a number of those, I as a person am concerned that the structures that we have in this country are falling down. And it even includes, you might have read about 13 million pounds of meat and chicken that had to be recalled by Lister, okay? McDonald's hamburgers in now 10 states, it was 4 states, now 10 states are creating Lister. I imagine they'll turn over a lot more. So our food plants are not being inspected like they should be, okay, and the food coming out. All of the frozen waffles that are in the supermarkets, okay, are recalled now because of salmonella. And so my thought process is that it's not like it used to be 10 years ago. So we have to take our own cautions as it regards to food, and Pam will talk about that. We have a thing called a high alternative electric, what did I write down? Okay. Magnetic pulse. Have you ever heard of that? Okay. There's 2 ways that can happen. That can happen, number one, as a flash from the sun, we call sunspots or we call whatever. Okay, it takes 8 minutes to get to the Earth. In 1859, the whole telegraph system was blown away and lit on fire. Okay, across the country in 1859, we had one of those, we call it a hemp, one of those hemps in 1859. They supposedly have said in the commission reports you'll read on some of these videos out of Washington that one of them missed us by 4 minutes in 2015. So that is definitely something that can blow the grid away. Another way of having one of those is to blow a bomb up from 20,000 to 100 miles above the Earth, above the United States. And if you lit an atomic bomb up there, you wouldn't even hear it. You wouldn't hear nothing from it, see no dust, but it would blow the whole electric grid away. It would take all your electronics in your car and turn them into ash. And so supposedly Russia has a satellite up there, not armed at this particular point apparently, but there's nothing the satellite does except up there. So that's a possibility. And by the way, I'm not here to create fear. Fear comes from within, not from me. Okay, so there's no, it's true. And there's no fear, actually, in the Bible. I think fear not is a very prolific word used throughout the Bible. So let me talk about a couple things that happened. There was a major out in New England around 2015, Texas in 2021. Okay, 210 people died of hypothermia. We have seasons here, so we have to consider seasons. Metcalfe, California, 2013. An armed group of people went and took down a generator. Fortunately, they had one of those, 2 other of those huge generators there in Metcalfe, and they were able to bring them together. Okay, so they kept it going. Look what happened recently in Cuba. Have you read about Cuba going out? Cuba, the whole country went out, and it's had brownouts for years, but the whole country is out, okay, and it comes up and it goes down, so their grid is smoked. North Carolina, you know what happened with the floods, so I don't have to tell you that. An interesting thing to me is this guy Pritzker, who's the governor of Illinois, sent out a letter to all of the residents of Northern Illinois telling them to expect brownouts this summer, okay, which includes Chicago. All right, and I have a daughter that lives in a little town called Glen Helen outside of Chicago, so she's going to get browned out. Okay, wildfires, weather. How about crypto? Okay, we took down the centrifuges of Iran. And they can take down, and they have invaded government databases and so forth. So nothing is sacred when it comes to using digital or the internet in terms of taking down things. We have terrorists we talked about, okay, the equipment, and so all kinds of different things can happen. When you talk about the high altitude stuff and so forth, when you look at that video that we put on the website, you're going to find that they say there's a 99% chance that that will happen. And this is your senators, okay, and your people in Washington on the commission. Can we protect against it? Yeah. They've developed the Faraday shield. I won't get into it today, but we'll have it on the website. You can buy one for your car because you protect your car. You can buy one for your generator to protect it. But where are you going to go when you go? So you need to take everything that I'm saying, okay? My dad used to say that when you get a year older, you get bolder, okay? So I'm pretty much a black and white kind of guy. So you take whatever you want in whatever way we give it to you. So we said government is not going to help. We need to be prepared in these three areas. First of all, we need to be prepared spiritually, okay? And I think that is a very important aspect of things. We need to be prepared mentally. When you're in crisis, and I've seen it in combat, when you're in crisis, you change. So you need to be able to focus your mind, okay, on a solution, all right? And so we'll have a number of stuff on the website as to how to do that in terms of a mental issue. And then you need to be physically prepared because you're going to be going through some things that you've never gone through before probably. And you can do without water for 3 days, and you can do without food for 14 days, okay? But each day has a toll. So you need to have your physical, mental, and spiritual self together. And then you need to move. The good Lord gave us feet facing forward, right? We need to move. So let me talk about something that we think is very important. Nobody, not us, nobody has the whole picture. This is such a large picture that nobody has the whole picture. And so we have put together a thing called the Buddy Program, B-U-D-D-Y. And Pam and I have 4 additional buddies. Pam's a buddy, I'm a buddy, okay? Am I a buddy? Okay, I'm a buddy, okay. And we each have different expertises, and we have things that we can't do very well. For example, I'm a good organizational person. I'm a good at getting things done. I do well under structure, okay, but reading instructions on a generator and putting it together and putting the solar together and all that kind of stuff, I don't have the patience for it anymore. So one of my buddies is a fellow who developed the F-16 and F-22 Raptor airplanes. He lives behind me. This guy has every tool in the world, okay? And his garage looks like his living room, okay? And he is the ultimate do-it-yourself guy, and he can read a set of instructions in 2 seconds, or he says, I don't have to read those instructions. Okay, so He's a buddy, and we're going to need him in a number of different ways. Let me give you an example of what I mean by a buddy. Okay, when Pam gets to the food issue, we're going to talk about how do you cook, okay, if you can't use the gas stove or the electric stove in your house. Okay, so you have a propane grill. So you have extra cans of propane. So we have 3 extra cans of propane. So my buddy Hans behind me, he went out and got 3 extra cans of propane. Okay, I cook on Mondays, he cooks on Tuesdays. I cook on Wednesdays, he cooks on Thursdays. Okay, so we split the cooking because you never use the whole grill when you cook. At least I've never seen it used. So he'll bring his food over to me, and I'll bring my food over to him. If things get really tough, we'll double our capability with the product that we have to run the grill. And then we bring in the other buddies, and they can do the same thing. We have another buddy who, 25 years with Thornburg Investments. I want to know what's going on before it goes on. Okay? That's her job. We have another buddy who's got, her boyfriend is a ham radio operator. Boy, did I go after him. Okay? So now we got a ham radio operator, and I'll show you some of the stuff that we have quickly at the end in terms of how we're going to communicate, because communication out, communication in. You got to know what to do. We're not going to talk about leaving your home. The most important thing that you can do is stay home. All right? Where you have all of the things that we're going to be talking about, all the capabilities, and once you get in your car, in 2018, anybody live in El Dorado? Were you there in 2018? When you were asked to get out? Okay, well, in 2018, there was a lot of people that were asked to, the fire was coming over the hill. Okay, I may have the date wrong, but there were long lines, okay, and no gas stations. So gas stations are run, the pumps are run electrically. What are you going to do with your garbage if it's not picked up? We're going to tell you on the website, give you some alternatives. All right? Well, we're going to take it to the transfer station ourselves. Well, the transfer station's closed because all those people went home to take care of their families. All right? And the trucks that take it to the dump don't have any diesel. All right? And I could go on and on. This is all on the website. So you understand that we live by electricity. We'll talk about a little bit later about all the different kind of batteries and extra batteries you have, the extra medicine you have to have, the cords you need, the different cords you need for the different charges that you make into your different items and so forth, and how you might want to have more than one of those, how you have a full tank of gas in your car all the time, okay, in case you have to evacuate. But evacuation to us is not a choice. We're set up in our home, and we're going to tell you how that's done in a minute. So I think we can weather most anything. Let me talk first about, just quickly, about how you can go ahead and do a self-assessment. Our self-assessment will be on the website as well. How many people here know CPR? It's something that you should know. How many people know Heimlich? Okay, it's something you should know. I suggest, and I'm going to show you something that's very inexpensive, that you can get instead of Heimlich, which is one of those devices you put over your mouth and you push it down and so forth. Definitely have one of those. Definitely have one of those. What you need to understand is that, hold on, let me get another piece of paper here. You need basic first aid kits. We'll have a list of what needs to go into a first aid kit. You should also have a basic first aid kit in the car. You need to know the difference between a puncture wound and a cut, because they're treated differently. And you may not have the ability to go to the ER because the ER isn't open, because they've used up all the diesel in their redundant engines. So you need to be able to know a few of these things. How about a tourniquet? Does everybody know how to apply a tourniquet? Okay, where it's to be applied. How about starting a fire? Just starting a fire without matches if you don't have matches, but you should. Pam's going to talk about food preparation. How about water creation? I'm going to talk a little bit about water creation. Okay, you're not going to have water sent to the house. The Santa Fe County developed a preparedness plan in 2007-8, and that was the last one they prepared. And it has no applicability, I don't think. Now, they brought in a guy to prepare a new one, and he says, well, I'll get it done in a year. Okay. So I'm not counting on Santa Fe County to prepare an emergency plan. So we need to prepare an emergency plan. So what about water? Well, if you don't have water come into the house, what are you going to do? We're going to show you different ways to collect water. At the end of this thing, I'll show you a straw that I can put in the Pecos River or Cow Creek, okay? And it's good for 250 gallons. And it takes all the impurities out. And we have several of those. We also have catchment systems. If you have a 500 square foot roof and you get 1 inch of rain, you'll get 300 gallons of water. So everybody should be collecting water in some manner or form. Now, some of us can't afford $125 for a good catchment of 60 gallons, okay, and so forth. That's why you have a buddy system, all right? You might be the water collector, okay, and everybody contributes. The buddy system is going to be, in my opinion, the key to some people's survival. Does everybody know how to turn off the water in their house, the electric in their house, the gas in their house? Why would you turn off the gas? Well, one of the reasons why you would turn off the gas would be because the pressure monitors on the pipelines that come into this area and all areas, okay, are, again, electric. And when those go, they can't control the pressure. So you can't control the pressure in your house. So you need to turn off the gas in your house, and they'll let you know. How many people have an app called Smart 911? Mark it down. Get Smart 911. Okay, it's free. And what it is a county notification app. When they had a person with a gun on the plaza, it immediately came over. They notify you, okay, if there's a flood coming or a wildfire coming or whatever, it comes over this. Get Smart 911. That's the first thing you can take with you today, okay? We're going to talk, I'm not going to talk about some utilitarian knots that you need to know that can help you out, okay, but they'll be on the website. How about a knife? Does anybody have a knife? Okay, and does the knife have a bevel? Otherwise, or do you have the ability to go right over the blade if you push? Get a knife with a bevel, okay? A bevel is something that protects you from the handle up, okay? And get a knife that is serrated so that you can use it for a number of different reasons. I pulled out my combat knife of 55 years ago, and it's got a little thing on it with a compass, and it's got a flint and a fishing line in it, and for survival, and it's got serration, and it's got a wonderful bevel that my hand can never go by. So think about that in a knife. We're going to talk about some emergency plans and survival issues. We're not going to talk about evacuation today, but we can talk about that in the future if you want. And we're going to talk about communication. It's important to have a radio that at least gets a UHF capability or NOAA station or whatever. We have a little bit of a radio here that is hand cranked, solar, and you can charge it. And we can charge it on our generator. And when Pam goes through her thing, we'll talk about generators, unless you don't want to talk about generators. But generators are important. Okay? So it can be as small as that It's a very powerful little fella. From a communication standpoint, we'll talk. How many people here know about Starlink? Okay. How many people know all about Starlink? All right. Well, I'm going to give you a surprise today because I'm going to direct you, since you've given us your email. You'll help me, huh? Since you've given us your email, we're going to email you out a site location that will describe everything about Starlink, where it's at, the price, what you have to do to get it, set it up, the whole thing from A to Z. Okay. And by the way, Starlink started today on Qantas Airlines, and T-Mobile will be the first carrier that will allow you to use phone capability and not just text. But right now, for the next few months, it's going to be text. But we really studied Starlink, and so we'll be able to fill you in when we respond to your email and give you that connection. Okay? Water you can drink. You can make your own water purifier. We have a thing called the water machine. Okay? It's phenomenal. It's a glass cylinder with 2 filters. The filters are guaranteed for 10 years. They filter everything out but the good things. There's good things in water that they don't filter out. So they're made for that. Okay? It goes down into a lower cylinder. All right? And then we have pure water. So I can go to the Pecos and fill a jug and fill my water machine, and I have unlimited water capability besides the catchment systems. The other thing I want to mention is this. We have a Geico silicone roof on our garage. All right? If you have a silicone roof, the water coming off that silicone roof, we found with the pH strips that we use that you can drink directly. You don't have to purify it. All right? If you have a gravel or a taupe roof or whatever, it's a different kind of story. You're going to have to put it through some kind of a purification process to drink it. The non-potable water for toilets and other kinds of things like that, you're going to have to collect, obviously, non-potable water, and maybe the catchment systems for that, and you'll have to fill the toilets, okay? But the toilets are a problem because the toilets go into a sewer, the sewer goes into a plant, and if this thing is long enough, the plant doesn't work because it's on a diesel backup system. Okay? So it backs up the sewers, depending on how close you are to the sewers. Okay? And guess what? You know what happens. All right? So you have to have a secondary thought as to how you're going to dispose of that kind of stuff. Okay? We'll have that on the website. All right? So it's something that some people can do or they don't have to do. Huh? Or they can't. Right. And then one of the last things, and I'll talk more about this after Pam goes through her thing, is that there's going to be some people that are not going to do anything. Okay, there's going to be some people that are homeless. There are going to be some people that are on drugs. There are going to be some people that will be knocking on your door. And what are you going to do? You're going to let them in? Okay. Everybody has their own solution to that. We have been able to accumulate what we think is, a year's worth of food? A year's worth of food. And Pam will tell you how she's done that. Okay. And therefore, and also having come from the military, I have other kinds of protection for the house. And we have plural Australian shepherds that are very territorial. Okay? So we feel pretty good about ourselves. But the point of the matter is you got to make those decisions on who you support, because you can't do everything for everybody depending upon how big your buddy system is. All right. Let me tell you about one last thing before I turn it over to Pam. Pam is a licensed fly fishing guide. All right. So I'll never go hungry. All right. Even though I don't have the patience to stand in the river for more than 10 minutes. Okay. As long as there's a chair there and a cigar, I'm okay. She's also got culinary background, and she's going to tell you about her medical background. So we got some things covered. That's what the buddy system is all about. All right. So, are you ready?
I've been ready. Can you hear me without a mic? Can you hear me now? Can you in the back? Okay. Hi. I'm really happy to be here tonight. I've been working on this for a long time. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Salamanca, New York, on the Allegheny River, or right close by, about a mile away. And my grandparents raised me for the first 3 years of my life because my father was in the service and quite a distance away. And so that's where I spent my time. My grandfather had huge gardens and orchards along the banks of the Allegheny River. We were subject to floods. They prepared. In those days, they didn't have a lot of refrigeration. We had a very nice brick home on top of the hill, so the flood would probably not run up that far. And we had coal cellars. My grandmother canned, preserved. And, I mean, they were just well prepared. They took care of their needs. They lived very simply, but well. We always had food. I was introduced to gardening. I was up in the potato fields at the age of 2. Yeah, I mean, this was part of how I was raised. When my mother and I and Dad finally had our own place, my mother and Dad start canning, and we always had food. We always preserved. They went through the war. They knew what bombing was, and I remember in elementary school, we were still having, the drills, and going down to the basement and the bathrooms, and so I grew up with this, and I finally became an adult, and and I'll jump there because this was part of my life, just being prepared. One of my early positions was at the age of 25, was assistant exec director of a 300-bed nursing facility in a rural area. And I was being trained to be the exec director. I had so many mentors, it was a blessing. To have a mentor that was in charge of the local Department of Health was fantastic. And then on the state level, to have a mentor guiding me through the regulations of running a facility like that was another blessing. One of my responsibilities was the sanitation of the kitchen. I didn't know anything about that kind of thing, but with my mentors, I quickly learned, and they took me on as a student. So here, I learned about sanitation. If you're running that in a large kitchen, you can certainly do that in a small kitchen. That is with you for the rest of your life. I also was in charge of the septic system. This was a big problem. This was a big chore. I remember taking the night off, visiting friends in Cleveland. I was in Worcester, and that's like almost a 2-hour drive in those days. And being called in the middle of the night because the system went down. So I have to run back to Worcester, call the Department of Health, do what I needed to do to get that system running. We had 300 beds. And so I had some training there. That stayed with me the rest of my life. So moving on. I have been dehydrating and preserving for about 20 years now. It just came naturally. I, for some reason, never picked up the canning. And in the early days, I had lived in properties that had plenty of land. I grew my own crops. And I mainly did freezing. I was not thinking about long-term survival in those days. But I did think about dehydration because I had all these vegetables and herbs. And why would I go out to the store and buy herbs when I have them? And so the hydrator was always going. Today, it stayed with me. I'm constantly using that dehydrator. If I'm not, Ken says, "What's wrong?" It's just part of what we do. Go ahead.
It's a 10-level dehydrator.
Well, actually, it was 5. If you go out and buy it now, it's 5. But I had an electrical problem with the first one I got, and it was not the dehydrator. It was our outlet that blew it up. and so I saved those 5 trays, and now I've got a 10 tray. But anyways, I'll get into that in a few minutes. But there are so many dehydrators out there, and if you go on Amazon, how many are on Amazon? I, I think it's worth its weight in gold if you're a member. I don't have to go to 10 stores to find an item I need. I just go online, I get a selection, I find out the good price. I watch for their daily sales, not every day, but every once in a while, and they do have some good sales. Hey, I needed a cast iron Dutch oven because my camping one disappeared. Oh, I know. I use that one as a smoker, and so I'm not going to use it as a Dutch oven anymore. That's where it is by the smoker. So I just happened to get on one of their daily deals, and there was the one I wanted, half price. And I said, "Oh my God, God is with me today." And so I'm not going to use it right now. I have enough to use for right now, but it's there in my storage room when I need it. Why do I need a cast iron? Because what you have in your kitchen is not going to hold up on your grills or any of the other means you use cooking outdoors. You're going to scorch it. It's going to melt. It's not going to be useful. And so you need cast iron. And it's worth its weight in gold. On our website, you will have the instructions how to prep your cast iron, how to preserve your cast iron, how to clean it. It's not that hard once you get into the rhythm of it. I'm an old camper. I forgot to mention that. I've been camping since I was a teenager. I mean, really camping, outdoors, cooking over fires. I belong to a camp club. We did some fishing. We did, boating. That's part of my life. This comes naturally for me. For some of you in this room, this is all new material. And I just met you guys, and you're already well prepared. And some of you have not started yet. And so on our website, you're going to find information for people like you who've already started. There's technical things that you might be interested in. And for others of you, I found a YouTube video last week. A woman telling us you can prepare in 2 weeks. Now, for those of you who have not prepared, if something happened tomorrow, you'd be stuck. But for most of us, God willing, we've got some time. If you start tomorrow, you can have a stocked kitchen with essentials in 2 weeks, and she tells you how to do it. That's the very first thing on the main page of our website, because that was important. People, don't be afraid of this. It's something you can do. Everyone can do this, but you have to know how. Now, the other thing that's going to be at the top of our site is an emergency contact list. That's one of the first things you need to do and start tomorrow. Take a look at that list. Follow that list. I need to add to it, and that can easily be done as I go along on the website. But use that as your basic thing to do tomorrow. Set up a 3-ring notebook. Make copies of everything that's pertinent to you on the website. If the electric goes off, you're too late. You can't make copies anymore. You won't have the information. I'm including recipes. I'm going to be talking about dehydration.
Let me show something on the dehydration.
Oh, let me get up and do it, honey. Please, I've got a system.
This is a service that we provide here at the church.
Now I'm off track. Okay, didn't even get to tell my story. Okay, so dehydration. This happens to be, and I label everything. This is broccoli and cauliflower. This is a half a pound. And I deliberately set up some small jars just as a test. I believe in practicing what I preach. What I'm talking about today, I've done. And maybe you do something differently. I don't can, you guys can. And maybe, you're going to have different ways. You live a different lifestyle. We're all unique. We live different ways. And we have different resources. So anyways, this will go a long way for 2 people. But what I did is, I'll get into this in a minute. What I did is, okay, people have all this dehydrated food. It's so simple to do. It doesn't take very much time. And what do you do with it? Does anybody know how to cook with dehydrated food? Yeah, you can buy a package. Here I've got some Smart Bowls pasta and beans. You can buy something like this. Yeah. Yes? Oh, excuse me. Sorry. You can buy something like this, and I have a few of these because maybe I'm sick. Maybe, I have to deal with other things and have no time to cook. I'm looking at this package, though. I'm going to add some dehydrated peppers and some yummies to go along. I can improve on this thing. Here's a package I found of home-style chili. So there's beans in here and a whole bunch of seasoning and a whole bunch of stuff. So I put this in boiling water. And I'm going to add a can of, from my stock cupboard of tomato sauce. I'm going to add some dehydrated ground beef. And that was something I just started to do. I never thought of dehydrating meat before. You can dehydrate ground beef. Cooked chicken, turkey, cooked ham. You can slice it up and put it thin, of course, and put it in your dehydrator and package it. But let me go back a little bit before I got interrupted with this mindset. There's a way to be prepared. And I thought 2 years ago when I started doing this that I was doing the right thing. A month ago, I realized, hey, practice what you preach. What do you have in those boxes? I went into my storage room, filled with boxes. Opened them up. Oh my, I didn't know I had this jar of garlic. I didn't know I had this or that. I knew I had flour. I knew I had chicken. But what's wrong with me? Immediately, I'm into the mode of do it now. Do it now. That's how I've trained my subconscious. So immediately, I got up, took everything out of the boxes, took inventory, and, I didn't package things right. They were just in there. Oh, my God, I had flour in there, sugar in there, Well, what I'm doing now and what I did to those boxes, I have, excuse me, Mylar bags and, excuse me, sorry, allergies. I have Mylar bags. The best way to preserve food for shelf life is invest in these Mylar bags. And they can be found on Amazon. They can be found on other places either. But I just started doing this because I didn't know about it until I start researching. So all of this is going to be on the website in detail. And be sure to label everything. Everything you cover up, label. This particular thing came with labels. I don't like labels. Whenever I use labels, this kind of labels, stick-on labels, I spend hours trying to get them off before. And you know what? My gosh, a roll of masking tape is so gosh darn cheaper. And I just use my marker and just tape them on. And this one had, okay, let me explain what I do with these. So these are mushrooms. I love dehydrated mushrooms. They taste so much better than the fresh mushrooms. They have more flavor. And I use them all the time in my cooking, dehydrated ones. So I'm always doing the mushrooms. But this one, okay, so this is the package that I did before. I put it into a plastic bag. Now they're going to go into the Mylar bag. But even this package has an oxygen pad in it, so that it preserves it better and longer. Then it's going to go into the Mylar bag, which will have another oxygen packet in there. So these little guys, you know, you see them in things you buy, even leather. They're in everything now.
They prevent the moisture.
Yeah, and it's a big thing, and they're not that expensive. I forgot, but okay. So I'm jumping around a little bit here. Here I did some string beans. String beans, 4 packages of string beans makes this little package of dehydrated food. Why don't I can? And why do I dehydrate it? It's because I don't have a lot of storage room. I don't have room like you do to put all those jars. I have a video on one of the pages that talks about dehydration, and she has hers in jars. And I just don't have the space. So it's easier for me. Everybody has a different situation. Others might like to can. You do both. And but anyways, okay, yeah, and here. Oh, I just did this one last week, broccoli and cauliflower. And that's golly, this little bag is a couple of pounds. And so when you add water to it, it expands. And one of the things they talk about in everything I've read or thank you. I get too excited and I move my arms around. Sorry about that. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Okay. But all of this is going into a Mylar bag, and everything will be labeled, and everything will be inventoried. Canned goods have an emergency place where you can store your canned goods. You don't have to do it all at once. Buy on sale. That's the smart way to do it. And, you know, I don't know what stores you shop at, but I know, this is another story. I stop at Smith's frequently. Ken wanted some ice cream, and it was on sale with a digital coupon this week. And so Ken really had a taste for ice cream. Pam, we have to stop it. And so here I am getting ready to dehydrate some beef. Ground beef is recommended. They recommend a high, they want low fat content. So you want at least 90, if not 93% fat free. And so I was ready to get some beef. Oh my gosh, I walked in there. 5 packages of 93% low fat were half price because it was, ready to, expire. I bought all 4 or 5 packages, went home and started dehydrating my ground beef. It takes a little more work with meat. You have to have it cooked. You have to make sure there's no fat in it. But it's, that's what we do when we make chili or whatever. We do that anyways. But maybe we might use a lower, more fat in there. But no big deal. And it's so easy to do. It's, what if your freezer goes? You've got the meat. And so I have put recipes on the website. They haven't been published yet. They're still in the back office, but in a few days you'll be able to see them. Taking a regular recipe, and I put a few on here because some of you are really good cooks and know how to cook. I have friends who do not cook. And I have a friend who, what they did is spend at least $50,000 preparing with solar systems and all kinds of things. And they bought from various vendors, a 30-year supply of dehydrated food and meals. Well, that's not how I live. And that's how many of you don't live. So, anyways, we're going back to the old-fashioned way. So here, dehydrated chicken soup. So I've got the recipe. And what do you do for the broth? You use the bouillons. You can go and buy the big jars of bouillon stuff. Hey, it's not like we're making our own broth anymore. We don't have the bones. We don't have the fresh meat. We can't do that anymore. Our world has changed. So, okay, what else do I have on here?
We're running late.
Yeah, I know. Dehydrated chicken and rice casserole. Dehydrated chicken vegetable soup. Of course you can put meat in there.
We got 20
and then they've got
minutes.
they've got stroganoff. Are we running out of time?
I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to leave time for questions and answers.
Okay, I'll end up.
Okay.
Okay.
So you have 30 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. You should be used to this.
We rehearsed this before I came.
He only gave me 10 minutes.
Oh, no. You've been on for almost a half an hour. Come on.
Okay. Well, anyways, I have a lot of recipes, and also for pets, because many of us have pets and we're pet lovers, and they need to eat too. And so I have recipes for pets as well. And so I could go on, but please go to our website, and we'll work with you. We'll answer your questions, and I'll give it back to Ken and Larry.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we chose dehydration because of storage and because of ease, and we had the way to reconstitute it back into food. So you could choose whatever you want. You could do water-based preservation. You could follow the Amish. The tough Amish don't have any refrigeration at all. Okay, they have ways of preserving without any refrigeration. So you can study that, and we'll have some of that on the website. I want to bring up quickly, just very quickly, you need a fireproof valise. In that fireproof valise, you need to put your papers, your house, your marriage, your pet papers, all of the stuff that's important. You need to copy everything. You need to copy all your lists, your email lists, off your digital, okay, everything that would be run electrically, you need to have in there. You should also have location and knowledge of all the shelters. There's 6 shelters in Santa Fe, 6 supposed shelters, and I don't mean Pete's place, okay? And keep some cash at home. You're going to need some cash because the banks aren't going to be open.
ATMs won't either.
No, the ATMs won't be open, the cash won't be open, but get a fireproof bag just in case you have a fire. And the last thing I want to mention is I have a thing called Agent Orange from Vietnam. I don't know if you know about it. Okay, it's not something you want to have for breakfast. Okay, but we take a lot of meds sometimes. Some of us, as we get older, especially. Okay, duplicate your meds, and there's a way to duplicate your meds, and you can make an appointment to go to your general practitioner and say, I have a sinus infection and so forth and so on, I need antibiotics. So we have several bottles of antibiotics, we have several bottles of whatever that we have in the medicine cabinet that we'd be putting in a bag. Okay, it'll be our medical bag. You'll have a tool bag. Get a multi-use tool. I'll show it to you at the end very quickly. Which will solve some of that problem, but put your radios in there and so forth, and that kind of thing. Clothing for seasons, you have clothing, and then you have your pets, okay? Don't forget your pets. All right, go ahead.
Okay, we have about 15 minutes for questions, so wait till I get there. I'll hold it.
Okay. What was the Agent Orange for?
What was the, do you know about Agent Orange?
No, that's
It's Agent Orange.
chemical that was used.
Agent Orange is a fruit that's only grown in, no, I'm kidding you. Agent Orange, Dow Chemical created a chemical that was sprayed on landing fields. It wasn't orange, actually. The barrels were orange and so forth. And if you flew helicopters like we did, you flew troops in and you flew bodies out. And the bodies would be dragged through the grass and contain the Agent Orange, and it would be assimilated through your fingers, and you got it. There's about 20,000 of us left that have Agent Orange from Vietnam. Does that explain it?
But you said you have some?
No.
No.
It impacts his health. He's suffering from Agent Orange.
My dad suffered from that.
No. Okay.
I wasn't sure if you had it stored up for some reason.
No. Only if there's anarchy.
Yeah. Okay.
For your medications, do you put those in Mylar bags to keep them fresh long term?
We haven't. Might be a good idea to do, but they're sealed. They've never been opened. Most of them, the painkillers or the antibiotics or whatever, and so they're only for a special time.
My pharmacist puts them in. And if I do open a bottle that doesn't have one in, I insert them.
Okay.
Inserts what? Yes. So
You mentioned there are 5 shelters in Santa Fe. Is that on your website?
Those are some of the contacts that we'll have. You have to remember a couple of things. When you get in a group, I mean, I don't have to tell you this, okay, you're susceptible to disease, you're susceptible to attack, you're susceptible to a number of things, okay? So you have to make sure that the shelter you go to has given you good thought process and vetted the people that they let in, okay? Because you're going to be amongst them in a number of different ways.
okay, and let me add to that. I didn't intend on putting community shelters in because our website goes all over. We're going to have people going to our website from all over the country and perhaps my friends in other countries. And so that would be a huge job, and I think it's up to the people. Like, you go in and you do your homework, what's available, and you put it on your emergency list. The list is right up there. You add that to your list.
And the church can help too and
Yes.
find out shelters.
You good?
Yeah, just a quick question, real simple question. Just to save me on some my homework, how do you store that stuff there, that dehydration stuff? Keep them from the mice and stuff.
Oh, good question. Good question.
You get a
It's
cat.
it's very simple. It's, where is it? Oh, here.
What's that?
All it is peppermint. You put it on a little counting ball. You don't have to buy this expensive stuff that they sell all over in those little gadgets. Peppermint. Put it on the balls, put it in a little container, and put it into your, everywhere, behind your stove, under your sink, in your cupboards, in your storage room. Simple as that. Inexpensive.
Wow.
Peppermint.
Peppermint oil.
You keep mentioning the website. Is it already up, or is it this one right here, RR for Vets, or I'm confused because
It's on your handouts, rrforvets.org.
that's it.
It is up, and it's comprehensive. It's got videos on it, and you'll press on education and resources, and you'll be able to see all of what we need to be talking about. It's going to be added to in the next 6 weeks on a continual level, and we'll have a complete website, we hope, by the middle of December to the end of December.
We have a start. Our website was just finished in August, so it's a brand new website. We've added the educational and resource component to it just a few weeks ago, and it takes a lot of time to do this. And so every day I'll be adding more. And why we asked for your email addresses, about every 10 days or so, maybe less, I'll email you and say, we've added this, that, and the other thing, so you'll be alerted to know to go check the site and see what it's all about.
And pass it on to your families, so your families can also access it and get knowledgeable in this. So we'll have thousands of people looking at that website, we believe, within the next couple of months.
Okay.
So, yes.
Who has a question?
It depends on what it is and how you store it. Dehydrated food, this should last me a good year, what I have now, and maybe more. Maybe with the Nylar bags, maybe 3 years. It depends on what it is. Meat, I understand, does not have the shelf life that the vegetables have or the herbs have. So you need to use that up fairly within a year.
And you'll be able to see on the website and understand what proteins are needed, like rice and beans and other kinds of stuff. There's bags of that we have, so we can go on.
Okay. One of the questions from online was, how much is this going to cost the normal person? And I just want to say, we don't know, because it depends on the extremes you want to go to. It also depends on who you're partnering with and what part they can play in providing particular either goods or devices or whatever. So probably the best thing to do is get online, start making your plan, start talking to your buddies or the people who you think can be buddies, and then put the plan into action. If you recall, our slide for this whole series is plan, prepare, respond. And that's what we're in the process of trying to help you do. If you want to add your name to the email list that Pam will be using to distribute notifications of updates to the website, please see Philip Quintana and get your email address on there. We won't be doing this update through the church e-blasts, okay? Any other questions? Oh. Deanna, just hold on. I'll hold it.
I have a statement, and okay, something to tell you. We had prepared a good amount of food in case of an emergency, but we put it in our home, and our home burned down. So we were without. So should we have a separate area just in case something happens to your home?
Let me answer this for a minute. The answer is we're not going to. All right, we have a different home than you have, but we're not going to. I think you need to be close to your food, all right, and so I wouldn't have a separate area. Some people would bury it and encase it, but I don't think that's not personally necessary.
Hold on.
I know you mentioned about the Mylar bags, but what do you believe about vacuum sealing? Would that be
I
appropriate?
understand. I have not. Go ahead. Long time ago, I vacuum sealed. I thought it was a pain in the butt. I didn't like the system, but that was me personally. I understand that it's a good option, and options are on our website. Whenever there are options, it's listed.
There's all kinds of opportunities to preserve food in different ways. And again, I think the Amish have got a lot of things going for them. So you'll have all that information. You can make your choice of what. And if you have questions or thoughts, we're going to ask you to email us and we'll answer you. Okay? And then we'll put your questions on an FAQ page.
And many of you will have suggestions as to what we should be putting on the site or have information that we don't have. And please feel free to let us know what you can offer to our site, and we'll chat about it.
Excellent.
Let's say you have to get in touch with people that don't live in the same town that you do, and you need to get in touch with family. Would a CB, what is it? The radio. Not everybody has a ham radio. What about what are those other ones that you talk into? And walkie-talkies? Would that work or not?
Well, it depends. There's a lot of walkie-talkies that are being offered that really don't do the job. Garmin has a product that's $600 that will definitely do the job, okay, of communication. But somebody on the other end has to have one of those. So now you're into $1,200. And so the communication issue, I think, will, if we can last, will be solved by Starlink. Okay, and it'll be an economic way to approach it. In evacuation, you need to know where you're meeting people. You need to know how you're going to communicate with people. And if the grid goes down and so forth, and you have buddies, you have to have a system of communication with the buddies. Okay, so that's something that you'll learn from the website.
Well, one option is that even though your phones will not be operable, you can still text. Most people will be able to text, and there's actually 2 pages on that. I think I made them live already, but if not, they'll be live this week. But it's a good option, texting. There's a few barriers, there's a few reasons why texting won't work, but basically if your towers are up in a certain way, and it explains it all on the website, but that's a good option.
Okay, so I think what you heard tonight was there's too much information to give out in an hour and a half. And you need to get onto their website, do other websites as well if you want to, although they did a lot of work filtering through information to make sure they had accurate things for you. You can at least start there. Do your research. Put together a plan. Get together with other people. Hammer out some details. Ask questions, whatever. But do what you need to do to help yourself and help those you care for and care about through whatever might be coming down the line. And in the end, we're still going to look to the Lord to guide us, to protect us, to preserve us. So I want to thank both Ken and Pam for their time and all the work they put in. Thank you all for being here. We're going to close in a prayer. And Father, again, can we get through a day without thanking you? Can we get through a moment without thinking about how blessed we are that you have shown yourself to us? You've revealed yourself to us through Jesus Christ. Who has ever seen God? And yet we can see you with the eyes of faith. And we thank you, Lord, for giving us opportunity to consider what is prudent to do in the times in which we find ourselves living. These are difficult times. You warned us of them in your scripture. And you have now given us opportunity to take steps which would benefit us and those that we care for. And we thank you for that. We pray that you continue to bless Ken and Pam in their endeavors. Help Ken in his suffering through all the symptoms that accompany Agent Orange and exposure to that dread chemical. And continue to bless them as they find extreme energy to go above and beyond. We praise you, we bless you, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
And I got two little things. Oh, go ahead. I got two little things my dad used to tell me. It's not how long you live, it's how you live long. And you can take that, okay? And you know, the other thing he would say to me is, love your brother, because there ain't no other. So have a good night and have a blessed